There's one that is a major talking point, and for good reason, because of the standoff between the Senate leadership and the Senator representing Kogi Central. If we have time, we're going to explore that part of the conversation later on. But let's quickly get to this one, which was also of huge concern over the past 2 weeks in Lagos. The demolition of trade fair structures, of structures at the trade fair, for which interpretations have been given that, business interests of Igbo extraction are being targeted. And we had this conversation with the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos towards the end of last week. And explanations were provided to the effect that there is nothing of the sort, that your principal, and former governor of your state, Mr. Victor Umeh, was only trying to whip up sentiments, that if you went to trade fair, some of those structures were actually in serious breach of physical planning rules. How satisfactory is the explanation of the Lagos state government to its activities at the trade fair, to you and indeed to the Labour Party?
Well, it's not a party issue. It's about dealing with human beings with consideration of the law. The country is governed by the Constitution and a set of laws. I'm disappointed to hear that the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos State came to you to justify her illegal action. The Constitution is very clear on what constitutes a breach of the law. And for you to hold somebody in breach of the law, you must be acting in accordance with the law. One, the trade fair complex in Lagos is the subject matter, where the Lagos state government moved in with heavy machines you've shown on this screen now, to go and destroy people's investments and buildings without any justification. Trade fair complex is a federal establishment. And the Commissioner for Physical Planning knows that federal lands are under the control of the agencies of federal government, not state government. There are federal lands, there are state lands. If you go to Lagos now, or any part of Lagos, any property that belongs to the federal government, you go to the federal land registry in Ikoyi to ascertain the title of that property. You don't go to Alausa, land registry in Alausa. In other words, there are clear demarcations of jurisdiction between federal lands and state lands. And I speak to you from the position of authority. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer. I'm very vast in land matters. I'm a fellow of Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. What the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos State did was an affront and a breach of the law. The people who manage the trade fair complex are people in the trade fair management board. It has the board has a CEO and the executive director. And for the fiscal commissioner to say that they went there to enforce law, she's been economical with the truth. They've never got to that place.
Commissioner is a he, by the way, but
is it a he or she?
He, yeah.
Okay, I thought they said
but he's also
she.
saying that that the jurisdiction is still a subject matter of contention and conversations are still being had. But he also went ahead to say that even if you said that the original structures that were there from the 70s are under the federal government, that the entrepreneurs, they are beginning to build on lands that have not been occupied, and that land is under their own jurisdiction as the Lagos state government. How do you respond to that?
Please, the trade fair complex is not in the moon. It's in Lagos. If you go there, it is a space that is clearly defined. And Lagos state government has never gone there to do anything, either to collect property rates or ground rent or anything, or grant approval for any development taking place in the trade fair complex. It is the trade fair management board that has been doing all this until they moved in about 2 weeks ago to bring down the buildings on the 25th of September. They have never gone there before in all the years gone by. So it's not a place they've been exercising authority over, oversight function or anything over the years. Their entrance into that place to destroy the buildings was an intrusion. And if you speak to the executive director or CEO of the trade fair management board, you'll get the facts. They were also shocked. The board was also shocked that Lagos state government can move into that place without telling them. Even the traders themselves were not given any notice. They were not written. They were not questioned over anything.
Wow.
What I read in the papers were that the buildings were on canals and drainages. People were building, without approval. That is not true. All those buildings that you saw erected there were approved by the trade fair management board.
You went there with Mr.
Yes,
Peter
we
alongside other senators.
Other senators, yes.
And you didn't see structures that were,
Clearly,
without compliance with building rules. You've said that you're an expert
clearly,
there.
yes.
The commissioner said that those structures were built on canals. They were in serious breach of,
I don't know who he is.
And as such, they should take responsibility for it because, there are disasters waiting to happen. Surely you cannot ignore that part of the conversation.
You are believing him. You have not gone there. I have gone there. The reason why we went to look at the demolitions, one was to ascertain the veracity of their claim that the buildings were on drainage channels or places they were not supposed to build anything. And when we got there, we went round the whole place. No building was standing on a canal or on a drainage channel. It is the same thing with what they did when they went into Abuledo in Lagos and started demolishing buildings. When the place is in the hands of the Federal Housing Authority, not Lagos State government, So when they want to act, they act knowing deliberately that they're doing the wrong thing and come back and tell a lie that the buildings were standing on drainage channels and roads. And when that of Abuledo happened, I had to go to, I'm the Vice Chairman Senate Committee on Housing and Urban Development. I had to prevail on the Federal Housing Authority to oblige an investigation of what happened. And when the demolitions were going on, I had to speak to the then MD of the Housing Authority, Senator Benga Shafa, and he immediately halted the demolitions and allowed space for findings to be made. And the process of getting that done, another MD came in, the honorable that is there now. And patriotically, he agreed with me that you cannot demolish, look at what I say, demolish people's buildings. Let us go there. So on the 25th of January this year, I had to go to that Abuledo with the MD Federal Housing Authority, Honorable Oladimeji Tunde Ojo. We got there. We went through 2.5 hours in that estate. Will you know what happened? Not one building was standing on the canal or on the road as they claimed. And he was surprised and he said, you people told me that these buildings were standing on canals and that. So where are they now? He moved in, he has resolved the issues and regularized that place. So this one, they went into the trade fair complex where they have no business to go into. And he's saying that the buildings are standing on canals. If you go tomorrow, the buildings are there. They're not movable. If you go, you see for yourselves that the buildings are standing clearly out of the channel. There was wide setbacks.
All right.
So it is a deliberate act to intimidate the people, which I don't want to accept. You have alluded to it in your opening statement that Igbos have been targeted. I don't want to see it that way. I want to see it as the authority not doing the right thing.
All right.
And I came here with my constitution.
I know that I came here with
No, I came here with constitution. I want to read a line for you.
Okay.
I want to read a line for you.
Because Lagos also has some questions for you.
Yes, I want to read a line for you. It says here, chapter 2 of this constitution defines how we live together in Nigeria. Chapter 2 and chapter 3. But if you go to chapter 2, 15, 3b, it says it is the duty of the state to secure full resident rights for every citizen in all parts of the federation. In other words, everybody is entitled to live anywhere he likes in Nigeria, guaranteed by this constitution.
All right.
So this idea of Igbos are in Lagos, they should go home and all that, go to a place, is baseless.
All right.
So you treat people with regard to the law. If you go there again, you see where it says that government actions shall be humane.
All right.
Government actions. So you see a building that is standing, people are doing business, you move in, caterpillar and all that, you pull down the building and go away. What have they done since they left?
All right.
Since they left, they have nothing to enforce.
Senator Umeh, suffice it to say at this point that we haven't believed any narrative.
Yes.
We're just capturing all sides to the story, capturing effectively as possible the position of the Lagos state government. But I'm sure Lagos has some questions for you. Over to you, Coyote.
Senator Umeh.
I'm not hearing you. Yes.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right. So I was saying that this Lagos is Lagos studio, not Lagos state government.
Wow.
But, we had the commissioner seated right here in the studio. First, he said that this is not targeting the Igbos, that anybody is welcome, that the constitution is clear about that. So he said as much right here in our studio, because that was one of the questions we put to him. But he also said that plans must be approved by the Lagos state government if you want to place anything on land in Lagos state. What do you have to say to that about getting approval for a plan for a building? Who should give that approval?
Yes, every agency of government that is vested with right to administer interest in land will have approving authorities. It is not confined to Lagos State because it is Lagos State. The federal agencies of government, like in this case, this trade fair complex, they've been approving drawings. If you ask the commissioner sitting with you, ask him when have they approved a drawing for building development in that trade fair complex. When have they done it once? They've never done it. all these approvals have been given by the Trade Fair Management Board. They approve these drawings and give leases to people who develop properties there. They don't go to Lagos State government to get drawing approvals. And I'm asking him, let him tell you, when have they given approval for one building to be constructed in that place since 1995? Over 30 years. They've never done that. So it is just yesterday that they woke up and went and brought the buildings down, claiming that there were no building approvals. The estate or the Trade Fair complex has existed over 30 years. And Lagos State government has not been given approvals to developments taking place there. So this is his own claim, which does not stand. It doesn't hold water. Okay. Because that land does not belong to Lagos State government.
So we
have state lands.
Right. Are you by
lands, they have their planning authority.
Right. Just to be clear, are you by effect or in essence saying that they have maybe derelicted their duty? Because it's the understanding is that there is concurrent jurisdiction. Yes, it's federally owned, but it's also in a state. So there's concurrent jurisdiction, perhaps in the area of physical planning, urban development, building regulation. So are you saying that over time they have neglected their role, their functions, and now they just all of a sudden woke up to that role? Is that what you're saying? No,
they didn't. Yeah, what I'm saying, they didn't have the role at all. Ab initio. So it's not about the dereliction of duty, because they clearly know that they have no jurisdiction over that land. That's why we have every state in the Federation of Nigeria, you have federal lands. They build housing estates and so on and so forth. And the state government do not go there. They don't interfere. The Federal Housing Authority has their own locations everywhere in the states of the Federation. They are charged with the responsibility of due management and administration of those federal lands. So the state government cannot go in. They don't have concurrent jurisdiction because it is clearly separated and defined. The lands that are in Lagos State that are not federal lands are vested on the governor of Lagos State. And when the lands that do not belong to Lagos State are federal lands, you don't exercise any jurisdiction over it. It's as simple as that. Because if they had that jurisdiction or role to exercise over the years, they would have been doing these things as a matter of routine and responsibility. They've never given any approval to anybody over 30 years. And this thing they're doing to these traders is because they think they can intimidate them. They cannot intimidate them. They have rights to be where they are, doing lawful businesses, and go to that place. These people have contributed so much to the development of Lagos. The same people who destroy their buildings, their businesses, are the people who are keeping the ports busy. They are the people who bring in goods from all over the world, clear them in the ports in Lagos, and you continue chasing them around. When they move their goods on the roads, you go and hold them in the roads and place all kinds of roadblocks for them, sometimes 50, before you go between one location and the other.
Right.
So you have to allow them. And like I said, the Constitution says government actions must be humane. If you want to say that there is something somebody has done that infringed the law, you give him notice. He must come.
The commissioner
give notice, give warning,
right,
and call the person and tell him this is what you have done. They didn't do any of it because they have no right to do so. The place doesn't belong to them.
Yeah. I believe you have finished watching the video. You heard everything that this man said. According to him, there was no proper notice. They were not notified. And the Lagos State government were not the ones managing the place directly. What Lagos State government said, they built on canal. According to this man, he said it's already mapped out terrain that was meant for the market. Not like they built in another place where they were not supposed to build. So I continue to say, it is what it is. Igbo people has been dealt with in this country. It's so painful, you know, it's too bad to always sound like a tribalistic person. But nobody will ever feel happy to see his own people being treated as if they are slaves. No one will ever feel good to see his own people being treated as if they are slaves. Only the Eastern governors, only those people that want to protect their offices, that want to protect their positions in government, they are the only ones that rejoices when things happens to their people. Because no Eastern state governor has ever made a statement, profound statement about what is going on in Lagos. There is a saying in my language, it says, that's all we are chola. When you beat the brother of a person that is weak, a weak person, he will tell you his brother was at fault. That's why they beat him, because he has no strength to fight. When the Igbo governors are going to wake up, or the senators and whatever, whoever that is representing the interests of the Igbos, don't know when they are going to wake up, because these intimidations, oppression and persecution against the Igbo people is too alarming. It's not something that has to continue. They really have to wake up and do something about it. If not, these people are going to do more. If they didn't do anything about what is going on currently, they will do more. I don't want to talk much. Thank you so much, and God bless you. You had it all. Share the video for other people to see it. For people that are doubting, that are asking many questions in comment sections, whether they had proper documentation of the buildings, or whether they built designated areas for building, whether they built on areas designated for the market. Let them watch the video and see it and understand for themselves what is really going on in Lagos State. Like I posted a video about Tinubu's wife, who made the statement, who made the claims that they are going to destroy Igbo people's businesses and do away with their properties and take away their properties. That's the same thing that is happening today. That's the same thing that is happening to Igbo people in Lagos. That very declaration of Tinubu's wife is the thing that is happening today. So we cannot continue to ask, where is it coming from? It is coming from the wife of Tinubu. It is coming from the wife of Tinubu. Tinubu's family, they knows what is going on. God bless you.